Everything in its right place. In its right place. Hey guys, what the fuck is up, you guys? My name is emandan642, and welcome to a re-review and ranking of every single Radiohead album. I know I made a review for each one of the records, but that was like 2 years ago. And I'm back making videos again, and my opinions have changed slightly. It's another excuse to talk about my favorite band of all time. Pablo Honey may be the weakest album, but by no means is it bad. It's generic, it's simple, it's boring at times. It's just another post-grunge album from the early 90s. Most of the songs are okay, nothing special. The opener, You, is really good though. I love this stadium rock sound that they perfected later on the bends. The heavy verses really rock with the blaring guitars in between the quieter parts. Halfway through, the guitars and drums are going at it, and Tom yells this really loud, open yell. It's one of his best performances. Creep is, of course, their most recognizable song, but honestly, it's still pretty good. The guitars are sad yet hopeful. Tom's vocals are sad, and that bridge is really impressive. Anyone Can Play Guitar has a really great intro, with catchy drums and bass and deep, looming guitars. The chorus of the song is really cheesy, but the verses have that classic Radiohead paranoia. Blowout is a stellar track. Honestly, one of the band's best. I love the intro guitars with the almost shooting star sounding backing guitar. I love Tom's vocals during the second verse when he yells, "Just in case I blow out." It's very moving. And of course, the wall of sound that the song ends on. I love the wailing guitars that sound like screaming voices. What a way to end a song. This album has plenty of flaws, but those great couple of songs keep it from being totally forgettable. The other weaker Radiohead album. This is the only Radiohead album to not evolve or change the sound up in any way. Instead, it uses repetitive loops and beats. It's interesting in some other songs, but towards the end of the album, it just gets boring. There isn't a single bad song or one that even comes close to being bad on this album, but there isn't any songs that blow me away or really impress me. The opener, Bloom, is the only track I often come back to. It's the best showcase of this looped sound. The drums are really cool sounding. I like Tom's very enthralling vocals. The way he sings feels so open and spacious. The following track, Morning, Mr. Magpie, is also a pretty good track. The looped guitar is cool sounding. I don't know why, but I've always liked the chorus and the way Tom sings it. And the part when the loop stops for a bit and you just hear some background sounds is cool too. Feral is fast-paced and otherworldly sounding, and I like that. But by the end of the song, it gets really grating. The worst offender of the repetitiveness, in my opinion. Lotus Flower is a nice danceable track. I do really like Tom's high-pitched vocals in the chorus. The rest of these songs feel like background sound to me. The last two songs are the most forgettable off the album. Give Up the Ghost has multi-layered vocals with a simple acoustic guitar. I had a hard time choosing which album was better between this and Pablo Honey. While this album comes at a time when the band should have had a more evolved sound, but Pablo Honey has a few songs that blow anything off of this album out of the water. Overall, King of Limbs has better songs, and less of them, which in this case is good. My opinion of this album has improved a bit. This album is not just Kid A B-sides. It is very different. It's a lot more subtle than Kid A, with toned down synths. Amnesiac also has much more organic songs with instruments and sounds much more like OK Computer. Packed Like Sardines in a Crushed Tin Box is a good example of the more subtle sound. It's clearly very Kid A sounding, but not as in your face as Everything in Its Right Place. This song is paranoia embodied, with the iconic chorus repeating, "I'm a reasonable man, get off my case." Pyramid Song is a beautiful piano ballad, a song that makes you feel like you're flying in the sky, like the whole world is passing by. The drums kick in with this cool, odd time signature, and it complements the piano and vocals wonderfully. Tom's vocals sound so somber yet empowering, and those string instruments do wonders. Poke Pole Revolving Doors is the only exception to the subtlety I mentioned. The song is some Aphex Twin sounding experimental, creepy thing, and I really like it. It's not as artful as other tracks, but I love this sound. You and Whose Army has one of those wondrous explosions of sound near the end. The amazing pianos and drums and vocals sound so monumental and fleeting. I Might Be Wrong is more of a rock song. The vocals take a backseat to these cool sounding guitars. And the following song, Knives Out, has an excellent mesh of guitars, drums, and vocals. This album's rendition of Morning Bell is the only song that I'm not too fond of. I get it, it's supposed to sound like a reoccurring dream. I get it, but it's nothing compared to the original. It just opens up on a weird note and feels like a off remix. The closing track, Life in a Glass House, is amazing. I love this song. It's so jazzy. It's different from anything they've ever recorded before. The brass instruments sound so good, especially in the chorus. I love the paranoid story the song tells. There's many different songs off Amnesiac, and sometimes they don't flow well, but each song offers something new, and I really like that. There are some great songs off this album, some that rival the very best of Radiohead. The newest Radiohead album, as well as the most emotional investing. Radiohead is a band known for their emotional songs, songs that stir up feelings inside of you, but A Moonshaped Pool takes that to a whole nother level. This album has an abundance of these sadder songs, as well as sadder songs in general. The album follows the passing of lead singer Tom York's wife. You can certainly hear that in the music and the lyrics of the album. So much of that emotion was put into this album. This is also the most orchestral sounding album in Radiohead's discography. A lot of strings used more. The opener, Burn the Witch, perfectly shows the really great sounding strings. Daydreaming is my favorite sad piano ballad off this album. I really like the lyrics on this song, some of the most depressing from Tom. And the piano is great. It's all somber and depressing, then it changes to major and feels somewhat happy and hopeful, then changes back when the vocals kick in. Dex Dark is a slow, melancholic track, but an uplifting and soaring track. Again, I like the lyrics and the vocals. When the guitar kicks in about halfway, it grounds the track very neatly. Full Stop is my favorite off this album. It's otherworldly sounding and eerie. The backing beat is chilling. About a minute in, the drums become less muted, then the vocals start and the drums go back and forth from muted to out in the open. And when the whole band kicks in about halfway through, it sounds so great. And the layered vocals are so cool. Glass Eyes is another beautiful track with beautiful strings. Identikit, however you say that, has a great beat with cool vocal deliveries over it. And The Numbers is another great song with great strings and pianos over a nice melody. The strings near the end of the track are really nice. And of course, you can't forget the closer, True Love Waits. Another painful song. A song that's been around since the 90s and was perfected for this album. The more and more I listen to the song, the more and more it gets to me. Tom's vocals are heart-wrenching and the lyrics too. The song perfectly encapsulates the somberness and depression of this album. My opinion of the album has improved from my initial listening of it. I love the piano ballads as well as the more orchestral and drum focused songs. This album is angry and political, and it's great. When I first listened to the album, there weren't too many songs that really stood out to me, but after listening to it many times, many tracks stand out quite a bit. Many say this album is bloated, but I wouldn't say that. I think all 14 tracks and 56 minutes are necessary. The opener 2 plus 2 equals 5 is a heavy, hard track. I love the second half. This is the heaviest Radiohead has sounded since The Bends, 8 years prior. Goddamn, what an opener. Tom's vocals are so good going into the chorus, yelling, paying attention, you have not been, over and over again, to that excellent outro. Sit Down, Stand Up has another burst of sound later in the song. The buildup is so tense and then it explodes into this amazing sound with killer drums and Tom's gasping vocals repeating the raindrops. I really like the guitar in Go to Sleep. It's so crisp sounding. Tom's vocals go up and down in pitch. Where I End and You Begin starts off with this creepy, eerie ambient sound. The drums and Tom's vocals complement each other so much. The sound reminds me of being trapped in a dark forest at night or something like that. There is a really solid song. I love it when the band kicks in. It's a very anthemic song. A Punch Up at a Wedding is another anthemic song. Really great piano, drums, and bass. Myxomatosis is my favorite song off the album. This song is a brain scratcher. The fucking synths sound excellent. The beat is consistent but catchy. The vocals are monotone at first but painful. You feel more of that pain in the choruses in the last verse. Some of Tom's best lyrics are off this track. My thoughts are misguided and a little naive. I twitch and salivate like with myxomatosis. The closer, A Wolf at the Door, is an interesting track. The intro synths and Tom's vocals sound weird and unique, but still really good. This is a cool opera kind of track. It's a really cool closer. Hail to the Thief is a really great album. There are some really great songs of this album that took me a while to discover, like 2 plus 2 equals 5 and When I End and You Begin. This is the band's heaviest album, heavier than the Bends with a lot more variety. I love this album. The alternative rock sound from Pablo Honey is perfected. This album transcends that album tremendously. So many amazing rock songs. I love experimental Radiohead, but this album is just something else. The opener, Planet Talix, is an absolute banger. Excellent drums and guitars, very energetic. Fake Plastic Trees is a moving and depressing song. The acoustic guitar sounds very 90s. When the electric guitars in the band kicks in, the song becomes something surreal. Tom's wailing vocals give me chills, and the ending leaves the song on this sad, melancholic note. I only recently discovered how much I like the song Bones. The verses are alright, nothing special, but the chorus is awesome. Tom's loud vocals and the loud guitars are awesome. Just has always been one of my favorites. I love the acoustic and the electric guitars, one of Johnny's best performances. He goes nuts near the end. The mess of guitars and screaming is wonderful. My Iron Lung is another one of my favorites off the album. Tom's vocals are sad and the easy guitar and drums complement that. When the guitars get heavy and the song reaches this mess of sound, it's really abrupt, unexpected, and out of nowhere, but I love it. And the song goes into another verse like nothing happened. The song ends with this excellent wall of sound. I love when Radiohead does these. It's not as musical or emotional in this song, but damn is it cool. Bulletproof, I Wish I Was is a sad, depressing song. It is quieter and calmer than Fake Plastic Trees. I love Tom's vocals in the chorus. You feel so much pain in his voice. And the guitar melody is so nice. Black Star is another song I recently became fond of. There is something about the guitars that I really like. The plucking electric guitars in the background is really nice. And I love the chorus. Great lyrics and great vocals. Street Spirits Fade Out is a spectacular track. It's my favorite off this album. It's so hard to listen to. Definitely one of Radiohead's saddest. Tom's heart-wrenching vocals hit so hard. The lyrics are painful, talking about death. With Tom's delivery makes for a perfect ending to this album. The bends is so fucking good. At times, it's very depressing and moody, and other times it's uplifting. I love the 90s alternative rock sound. I love both sides of this band. As much as I love their later work where they experiment on every single album, this album is much simpler in comparison, and that's alright. This album is fantastic. Every song off this album is amazing. In Rainbows is very peaceful and comforting. It's a very human and mature album. Like it was written after gaining infinite knowledge of the universe. The album goes back to using natural instruments again with a heavy drum emphasis. The biggest use of synths is actually the first thing you hear off the album in 15 Step. The song starts with this sequence drum pattern switching between odd time signatures. It's one of the cooler Radiohead songs. I love odd time signatures, and this song plays with it the best out of any Radiohead song. Body Snatchers is a fun, energetic, fast-paced song. It starts with this killer-sounding bass line. The consistent drums are great. Nude is a brutal and heart-wrenching song. It's one of those songs that build up to a big climax, but it's a lot subtler. The instrumental of the song is great. These small parts of each instrument adds up to a lot. The last chorus and outro is spectacular. That last line never fails to give me chills. I love Tom's voice and him belting out the last few words. And the instrumental outro is lovely. Weird Fish's A Preggy is a soaring track with an amazing beat and soaring vocals. When the band fully kicks in, it is excellent. When things quiet down, it is excellent. And when the beat kicks back in, it is another amazing chills moment. I absolutely love how this song ends. Reckoner is another amazing and beautiful song. Another painful song. The instrumental is fantastic. The drums and the guitars. This song is so full. So many things going on at once. It's hard to hear what Tom is singing, but even without knowing the lyrics, his performance is amazing and emotional. Jigsaw Falling Into Place has a cold, intense beat. Tom's vocals are static but human. Until he sings the line, the beat goes round and round. Then his vocals erupt and he is full of emotion for the rest of the song. The closer, Videotape, is a perfect song to end this perfect album. This is a bittersweet song about leaving a legacy of yourself after you die in the form of a videotape. It's bittersweet because it talks about preserving the good things of life, but the song sounds so sad and tragic. Like death is this imminent thing that you have to accept. The piano is amazing. The occasional low notes create this eerie atmosphere. The sporadic drums sound creepy almost. It's not until Tom sings the last line, "Because I know today has been the most perfect day I've ever seen," that the drums sound like a normal beat. The vocals are painful. Like Tom sounds physically pained to be singing this song, more so than any other song. In Rainbows is such a great album. This album has such an amazing flow. Each song is great and works perfectly together. This album is amazing, but there are still two more I think are better. Kid A is the greatest left turn in history. It really is. It really fucking is. This album takes everything that you know about Radiohead and flips it on its head. It builds upon the songwriting that has already been so great and expands upon it tremendously. Kid A focuses almost entirely on synths and computers rather than guitars and drums. It's IDM and electronic music rather than alt or art rock. The opener, Everything in Its Right Place, perfectly shows the concept and sound of this album. The opening synth is icy. Tom's vocals are cold and absurd. His lyrics make no sense whatsoever. Kid A is a neat little instrumental track. The song was used during the credits of The Sopranos Season 4, Episode 2, and I nearly shit myself hearing that when I did. The national anthem is a killer track. The bass and drums are catchy and dark. There are some random sounds and voices playing through the song. A brass section starts and the song swells up to this amazing sound. Then the instruments go haywire into a massive sound. The next track, How to Disappear Completely, is easily the saddest and most depressing Radiohead song. This song is extremely moving. It's a painful song, a song that makes you let go of everything and just disappear completely. The lyrics are simple but still painful. This song always gets to me. I just feel something every time I hear it. Tom's vocals from the bridge onward are amazing. There's something about singing to the song, almost yelling at this point. Optimistic picks things up after that depressing track, as the title implies. I really like the instrumental to this song. The guitars and synths in between the chorus and verse sounds great. Idiotech is an all-time Radiohead favorite. I love the repetitiveness of the synths, the cold and icy sound to it. I love this sound so much. And Tom's repetitive vocals and lyrics about global warming all work so well together. The closing track, Motion Picture Soundtrack, is another amazing sad send-off. More bittersweet than Videotape, I'd say. The instrumental sounds so magical and mystical. The last line of the track is such a beautiful and hard-hitting line. I will see you in the next life. There's so much meaning to that. It's such an amazing send-off. It's hard picking between Kid A and In Rainbows. I'd say overall, In Rainbows is better. But Kid A has How to Disappear Completely and Idiotech, two of my favorite Radiohead tracks. It doesn't really matter. Both albums are fantastic in their own rights. But no matter what, no album will ever come close to the quality of this last one. The greatest album of all time. OK Computer is my favorite album of all time and has been for the past 5 years. Every time I listen to this album, something new catches my attention, and a new song becomes my favorite for a while. Each song is amazing in its own right. The album has a cold, calculated feel to it. It's a commentary on technology and the use of it in our modern day world. The opener, Electioneering, shows this new evolved sound with the loud guitars and calculated sounding drums. This is one of my least favorite songs in the album, and yet it's still amazing. Near the end, the song starts to glitch out and the drums start to get all separated. It's really cool sounding. Pa. Paranoid Android is my favorite song off this album, favorite song by Radiohead, and favorite song of all time. It's been my favorite for quite some years. For a while, I didn't listen to it because I've listened to it a million times, but coming back to it, wow. This is seriously the greatest song of all time. The song is separated into 4 parts. The first part is acoustic with many different sounds and instruments going on. The song gets progressively more paranoid sounding as it hints into the second act of the song but continues on. I love the electric guitars of this part in the song. It adds a lot of tension. The second act explodes with heavy guitars and drums. Tom's yelled vocals are great, and Johnny's wailing guitars and screaming. This ending is excellent. Exit music for a film is a masterful song. The song builds up to the greatest climax in any Radiohead song, in my opinion. From when the drums kick in to the end of the song is perfect. Tom's belting vocals and the excellent instrumental makes this chilling, amazing sound. Let Down is another depressing, sadder track. The song sees how the world is flying by at all times. So many emotions, so many fake emotions. This is such a powerful song. Such a moving song. Karma Police is another amazing track. The pianos are so good sounding. I absolutely love the third verse. Tom singing, "I've given all I can, it's not enough," is something anybody can relate to and understand. And the outro is fantastic too. For a minute there, I lost myself. Tom's vocals are so intense and chilling there. It's so good. Climbing Up the Walls is a cold, chilling track. The background sounds and the drums add a lot of weight and atmosphere to the song. Knowing that this song was inspired by Tom visiting a mental hospital makes it that much more chilling to listen to. No Surprises is the complete opposite of the previous song, with a somewhat upbeat sound and message. The song may sound happy, but it never fails to get me emotional. It starts off with this lovely music box sounding melody. I love the message about no alarms. It's about wanting a way out of this modern world, wanting peace and quiet. Every song off this album is fantastic, but I'll be here talking all day about it. OK Computer is an excellent album, a perfect album, but that's been common knowledge for 25 years. Radiohead is an amazing band with multiple masterpieces in the discography. Each one of their albums offers something new, so I implore anyone to listen to all of their albums. Each one is good in their own rights. Even the worst has much to offer. Everyone has their own rankings of their albums. This is just my opinion. Radiohead is pretty fucking good, and you should listen to them. Fuck you.